You'd think that investors are rational human beings, wouldn't you? Well, usually, but not always. Quite a few have superstitions. Like which? Let me tell you a story. More than 40 years ago, I was hired as an analyst by Gordon Capital, the premier Canadian institutional broker. Well, one day I found what I thought was a fantastic arb opportunity. Buy this stock, short that stock, convert and collect a profit of 20% in a week. All excited, I put the idea on paper in 2 lines, circled it in red, then shoved it in front of Frankie, our Italian head traders whose nickname was the stock dog. Jumpy looked at it, jumped as if bitten, and shouted, "What the hell is this?" "It's an opportunity," I said. "No," said Frankie. "What is red line doing here?" I didn't understand. "I put it here so you could see what exactly I... No, Frankie shouted. "Never a red pen on the trading desk, never." Since I was young then, and also just made the trader some money the week before, the other trader, Johnny the Irishman, took me aside and said kindly, it's an old trader superstition never to allow red ink on the trading desk. "But why?" I asked. "Because," he said, "red is what accountants use to show losses. Red ink, see?" I did. When a company loses money, you say it's in the red. When it breaks into profit, you say it broke into the black, in accounting terms. So old school traders took this literally and disallowed red pens on a trading desk. And that's why, to this day, more than 40 years later, out of habit, I have many pencil colors, blue, green, black, everything but red. Why tempt fate? So that's one superstition that I carry with me since my early days in the market. But there's another one, which kind of makes up for the first, I think. That one too, I learned from Frankie, rest his soul. One day, when I got my quarterly bonus and I goggled at its size, Frank tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Good job, but don't forget to pay Mrs Karma her pizzo." "Pay who?" I said. Pizzo, I knew from the Godfather movie, was an Italian term, meaning paying off the mob. But we were just straight all the way, honest Canadian boys, later some girls too. "Oh," Frankie said, "you know, Lady Luck. Give some money to charity." "Sure," I said, "I always do." "No," Frankie said, "here, look at this." And he pointed at the screen. I looked. Now, these were the first days of personal computers. The month before, I had bought 2 PCs, one for me and one for the trading desk, to help traders keep track of which client was buying what. Now, why a PC for traders? Because those were the days before e-trading. Everything was done by hand, bought and sold on the stock exchange floor directly, where Gordon had 35 floor brokers. So if a client called and asked if he could get him, say, 500,000 shares of Bell Canada, the first place to look at was which client had been selling Bell. Maybe he'll sell some more. The second place, which client held Bell shares. This we saw via the Vickers Guide for institutional portfolios. The third place was which client in the recent past said to a trader he might sell some more Bell if he got good offer. This thing a trader remembered, but had no easy way to tell other traders. There are too many such indications. So to put all this information in one place for all traders to use, I got a programmer to put it in a spreadsheet called the Blockbuster. At the time, it was Lotus 123, not Excel. I told it was years ago. Also, computer had very little memory, so it also required something called the sparse matrix with many zeros. I won't go into it. But soon enough, our traders, with the help of a spreadsheet, began to be 20 seconds faster than others, then a minute or two faster than other brokers traders. Not that they were not fast before, but this gave them an extra edge. So eventually, Gordon went from 3% market share to more than 10%, which was partly, I think, why my bonus was up, besides making a few lucky stock calls. Anyway, I looked at Frankie's spreadsheet and saw that at the corner, Frankie had added a tracking record of the month's commission. Below it was another number, his own share, and below that, one more number, 1% of his commission. "That's the Pizzo," Frankie said. "Why is it here?" I asked. "You can give to charity whatever you want." "No," Frankie said. "This way it's hardwired. So Mrs. Karma has a fixed share in my business." I said, "But it's not an equity share. It's a piece off the top, like paying the leg breakers." "Yeah," Frankie said, "that's how it works. And also how gold royalty companies work." "Yeah, that's like Franco Nevada, if you know. That's why I got the idea." I understood. A few years before, two smart Canadian financiers, Seymour Schulich and Pierre Lassonde, came up with the brilliant idea of mining finance not via investing in a company's equity, but by taking a piece of the revenues, off the top, as they say. It's a kind of deal first innovated by the American mob. They used to come to a laundry owner, for example, and say, as insurance against fire and broken legs, we want to get $100 a week from you. But the owner would say, what of my expenses? I can give you a piece of the profit, but not off the top. No, the mobster would say, the expenses are yours. We want to show off the revenues, pre-expenses. And before you think this is only a shady business practice, let me tell you, that's also how franchisors I pay to this day. Not just gold royalty companies. For example, if you have a pizza franchise or a McDonald's, you pay the franchisor 7 or 8% of your revenues off the top, because allegedly their names bring the customers in. It's called the marquee power. Now, you think 7 to 8% is high? Let me tell you, if you are Disney, anyone want to sell popcorn inside your Disneyland, he probably pays you 35% off the top. And this also works in other businesses. In the movie business, for example, if you are Steven Spielberg, you can get a percent off the top, which very few can. In TV, it's often called residuals, the sort of super equity before expenses for marquee power, like Seinfeld, which, by the way, is why of all gold stocks, I love Franco-Nevada the most. But this is by the by. Back to the stock exchange and the stock doc in his spreadsheet. I asked, so you give to charity a piece of your revenue off the top? Not all revenue, Frankie said. If I had other income, I give a fixed amount, not a percentage, but here in the market, I want Mrs. Karma to have a stake in my stock business so she works on my behalf and brings me luck, see? And who do you send the money to, I asked. Well, Frankie said, you know, the usual. I understood. Gordon Capital had a bunch of charities we always gave to. Variety Village was one, for kids with special needs, and once a year we even organized games for them, all of us. Or there were 2 soup kitchens and also half a dozen of the usual suspects, the Scott Mission, Salvation Army, you know, the lot. I said, and you believe it works? Well, said Frankie, does it work? Look at last month's commission. I stupidly said, but didn't the Blockbuster program help? Yeah, maybe, Frankie said. But you just got your Pizzo too, didn't you? I sheepishly said I did, and went to my desk, to my computer, opened up my spreadsheet, and put the fixed percentage payable to Mrs. Karma. I spelled it, as I just saw Frankie had done on his spreadsheet. Now, this was years ago, but I still have a line like this after all those years, and I'm happy to say that the percentage remained the same, but the dollar amount kept rising. Thank you, Mrs. Karma. Now you may be asking, are you sure it's due to her doing her bit, or is it superstition? And I can tell you, who knows? It works, doesn't it? Now, why am I telling you all this? Because I think it can help you too if you make Mrs. Karma a partner in your investing and trading activity. Just as you pay capital gain tax and income tax on a percentage basis and budget for it, I suggest you do the same for charity by paying her agent, Mrs. Karma, also known in betting circles as Lady Luck. I suggest you give her a piece off the top, right on your spreadsheet, where you keep track of your profits in taking other people's money in the market. But wait, you may be saying, taking the money of whom? Why? I believe it's those who don't work as hard as you do and don't give to Mrs. Karma her pizzo. The market is where Mrs. Karma pays you back. That's all for now. Please let me know in the comment below what you think of the above. And if you like it, subscribe and forward to all your subscribers and friends who they subscribe to. Then buy my books, The Slot Investor, The Advanced Slot Investor, so you can learn the methods I use to try and take the money of those market players who haven't read my books and don't pay Mrs. Karma her pizzo. I'll see you next time. And meantime, thank you very much for watching.